10 hours and 24 minutes in the English Channel, October 1927. A typist from Brighton is out in open water cold enough to shut a body down, swimming to prove she is not a liar. Tied around her neck on a ribbon, not on her wrist, hangs a small gold watch. It stays down there in the sea with her the whole 10 hours and 24 minutes. Then the cold wins. She is lifted out of the water short of the coast, unconscious, and the swim is a failure. The watch is not. It comes out of the channel still keeping perfect time, and 1 month later, a man who never swam a stroke of it buys the entire front page of Britain's biggest newspaper to say so. That is the morning Rolex stopped being a watch and became a belief.
Take a seat. This meeting has one item on the agenda. How a Bavarian orphan sold the world a machine the world had already decided was a toy. I want to be exact about what was invented here because it was not really a watch. Sealed cases were being attempted across Switzerland in the 20s. Our subject did not win on secrets. He won because he understood what the engineers around him did not, which is that a quality nobody can see does not exist. You may build the finest waterproof case in Europe. In a shop window, it is a metal disc making a claim. And a claim is worth nothing in a trade full of claims. What this man grasped, 30 years before the word marketing meant anything, is that proof is a product. Not a leaflet about the product, proof. And that the cheapest place on earth to buy proof is other people's danger. Tonight, a swimmer, a fish tank, and the deepest hole in the ocean.
Hans Wilsdorf is born in Kulmbach, Bavaria in 1881 and orphaned at 12. His uncles hand him an education and push him out to be self-reliant, which he is, ferociously, for the next 70 years. He learns the Swiss watch trade from the inside. Then in 1905, he lands in London at 24 and opens a firm with his brother-in-law, casing movements from a maker in Bienne. And here he makes the bet that defines everything. In 1905, a serious man carries a pocket watch. A watch on the wrist is a bracelet, an ornament, delicate, exposed, and widely assumed to be incapable of keeping accurate time because the wrist moves, and a movement hates being moved. The trade regards it as a novelty for women. Wilsdorf decides it is the future and puts his whole company behind it. In 1908, he registers a made-up word, short enough to fit on a dial and pronounceable in any language, Rolex. Then he does what the retailers hate. He insists the name goes on the dial itself, where a shopkeeper would rather have his own. Then he goes hunting for evidence. 1910. A Rolex becomes the first wristwatch in the world granted the Swiss certificate of chronometric precision. 1914. Kew Observatory in Britain gives a 25mm Rolex a Class A rating, a mark until then reserved for the marine chronometers that navigated ships across oceans. A wristwatch, Class A. He has beaten the accuracy argument with paperwork. It does not save him because accuracy was never the thing killing wristwatches. 1919. Britain loads duties onto gold and silver cases after the war. The London operation stops making sense, and Wilsdorf moves the business to Geneva. Underneath that sits a fault he cannot tax his way out of. A pocket watch lives in a waistcoat, in the dark, in the dry. A wristwatch lives outside, on the end of an arm, in rain and dust and sweat and steam. Moisture gets in. The steel oxidizes, the oil degrades, and the finest caliber in Switzerland turns into an expensive bracelet inside 2 years. Every wristwatch on Earth is quietly dying on its owner's arm, so he goes shopping. In 1925, he buys a patent from 2 Swiss inventors for a crown that screws down onto the case like the hatch of a submarine. He adds a clutch so it can still be wound. He screws down the bezel. He screws down the back. In 1926, the whole thing arrives sealed, and he names it after the one creature famous for being impossible to open, the Oyster. It is the most important watch case of the 20th century, and he immediately runs into a wall he did not expect. You cannot see waterproof.
Sit with the awkwardness of that for a moment, because it is the whole hinge of the story. He is holding an invention whose entire value is invisible. A customer can see gold. A customer can see a jeweled movement. Nobody has ever seen the absence of water, and he is asking a shopkeeper in Sheffield to charge a premium for it, on his word. in an era when every trade catalogue in Europe promised dust-proof, shock-proof, weatherproof, and meant none of it. Most inventors respond by writing a better brochure, explaining harder. It is the standard mistake, and I have watched fortunes die of it in rooms like this one. Our subject does the opposite. He stops describing the case altogether. He is going to make people watch it survive something in public where the outcome is not in his control. An unusual appetite for risk in a man selling precision, also the only honest form of advertising ever devised.
The first version is small and strange, and it works. Rolex sends its best dealers a window display, an aquarium, water, weeds, live goldfish, and hanging in the middle of it, running, a wristwatch. A passerby stops on the pavement, watches a fish swim past a second hand that is still moving, and understands the whole proposition in 4 seconds. But a shop window reaches one street. What Wilsdorf wants is the front page, and for that, he needs someone in genuine trouble. In October 1927, he gets one. Mercedes Gleitz, 27, born in Brighton, working as a typist in London, becomes the first British woman to swim the English Channel. 15 hours and 15 minutes, France to England. It is a national story for about 4 days. Then, another swimmer claims a faster crossing, is exposed as a fraud, and the doubt splashes sideways onto Gleitz. Her achievement is suddenly on trial. She announces she will swim it again, in colder water, in front of witnesses, to settle it. A young woman publicly doubted, volunteering to prove herself in freezing water in front of the press. Wilsdorf reads that and sees the demonstration he has waited 12 months for. He gives her an oyster. The 21st of October, 1927. The water is worse than the first attempt. She swims for 10 hours and 24 minutes, with the watch hanging at her throat on a ribbon, and then the cold takes her and she is pulled out, short, unconscious. She never reaches England. Wilsdorf does not care about the shore. The watch has been in the channel for 10.5 hours, and it is still running, still accurate. On the 24th of November, he buys the entire front page of the Daily Mail, the biggest newspaper in Britain, and prints one line across it: "The greatest triumph in watchmaking." That page invents something. Not the watch, the method. A real person, doing a real thing that can kill them, wearing the product while they do it. Rolex runs that play for 100 years and never changes it. 1931, the perpetual rotor. A weight that winds the watch from the movement of the arm, so the crown stays screwed shut and the seal is never broken. 1953, the British expedition that puts the first men on top of Everest carries Oyster perpetuals, and the Submariner arrives sealed to 100 meters. Then the callback. January 1960. A watch called the Deep Sea Special is bolted to the outside of the Bathyscaphe Trieste and taken into the Mariana Trench. 10,916 meters. The deepest water on the planet. It comes back undamaged. The telegram to Geneva reads, "Happy to announce that your watch works as well at 11,000 meters as it does on the surface." 33 years after the channel. Same trick. Colder water.
Minutes recorded. Before we adjourn, one item of business and one question for the room. The business first, because it is the strangest fact in this file. Wilsdorf's wife died in 1944. There were no children. So in 1945, he put his life's work into a Geneva foundation, and when he died in 1960, his will handed it every share he owned. The most recognized luxury brand on earth has no shareholders and no price at which any conglomerate alive can buy it. He built a company that cannot be sold, and then he left. And the question, every rival he had was busy explaining how good their product was. He refused to explain anything. He put it round a swimmer's neck in the channel, into a goldfish bowl in a shop window, onto the outside of a submarine going to the bottom of the sea, and let strangers watch it survive or fail in public. So I put it to you, and do leave your verdict below. What would you be willing to have tested in public with no control over the result? Whatever you would not risk that way, you probably do not believe in either. Next meeting, a company that sells its most famous product at a loss on purpose, has not raised the price by a single cent since 1985, and treats that stubbornness as the whole business model. How a $1.50 hot dog guards $300 billion of loyalty. Subscribe. Attendance is taken. Minutes recorded. Meeting adjourned.